Hey there, welcome to SureFire Live. I'm looking a little rough. I Happy New Year. I wasn't here last week. Had some family stuff going on, and so I'm back this week. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good holidays and everything, and you're back at it. I had a discussion on my Facebook on my podcast this week about different stages of growth, and I think it's worth talking about tonight. And we'll see as people join if they want to talk about it. I do want to give an update. I started, how everybody has, not everybody, but some people have the, New Year's resolutions. And of course, working out, losing weight, that kind of thing was on my list. It had some setbacks in the past couple of years. And so I finally got all my setbacks behind me. And I decided to do this project called 75 Hard. You can look it up on the internet, and it's 75 days, 2 workouts a day. One workout has to be outside, which can be tough in the winter. They have to be 4 hours apart. They can't be right together, so you can't do them back to back. Drink a gallon of water, no alcohol. You got to read 10 minutes a day. Got to take a picture every day of you like in shorts. And so I started out. So it's now 69 hard is what it is. And man, I'm tired. I, it's good though. I need to do it. So I'm in the middle of it, and I still got my night workout to do because I haven't been able to do it yet. So I still got to do it. But what are you guys doing? Are you doing anything different for the year? What's funny is my brain tried to talk me out of doing it. So the first morning when I woke up and I had to do it, my brain was just fighting it. It was just saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. No. And I said, oh, the gym's going to be crowded. Don't go. I checked the weather, literally laying there in bed, checked the weather. Now, this was for my inside workout. Justin fell, hey, buddy. He says, sounds like 2 a-days. Yeah, it is. No, I didn't ever play football. I wrestled, but I know what it's like to hit it hard. And yeah, so my brain was just it was such a barrier to start with to get my butt out of bed. And I'm like, I can't believe how loud this voice is giving me every excuse to not do it. And I'm like, wow, that is unbelievably loud. I said, just move your feet over the edge of the bed and sit up, because that bed was comfortable. Got a new mattress, super comfortable. Rolled it over, popped up, and I was off. And I've been off every day. I've done it every day, because the thing on 75 hard too is if you miss any part of it, you don't drink the gallon of water, you don't read, you miss a workout, you don't eat right, you go back to day one. And they said, if you go back to day one, the chances of you actually finishing, you'll have excuses. Your brain just comes up with excuses. And there's been times I've been completely in bed, going to sleep, and realized I didn't take my picture. Well, I'm like, I'll just take it in the morning. Nope, get up, go do it, take the picture. And so, I'm doing it. I'll let you know how it goes. So far, stuff. Hey, Scott, good to hear from you. Are you going to be down at Heat Shield, Scott? He asked if I'm going to any F1 races this season. Yes, I'm going to one F1 race in Las Vegas. I've got my tickets. I bought an F1 experience through the Bellagio. So we've got Bellagio tickets. I got to tell you, kind of a little bit of a flex. I rented a McLaren out there while I'm going to be out there. I did Turo, like the car app, like Airbnb for cars. And I'm like, what's a cool car out there during F1? So I've got a McLaren rented for a McLaren convertible, actually. It's in the 6 series, I think, but cool. So yes, Scott, I'm doing that one race for sure. Scott, sounds like you are going to Heat Shield. See you down there. Should be fun. Should be a lot of fun. We're start working on some of the content for that. Should be good. And then somebody here made it as far as day 52. Oh man, I'd like to hear what happened. I mean, life happens, right? And then you got to start over. So I bet even in 52 days, hitting it hard, 2 a day, you saw probably a big difference. But I can see how, man, you have got, it's hard because life gets in the way, weather gets in the way, travel and sleep and all that. So we'll see. I like challenges. I think that's the main thing that I have to get out of things is, can it be challenged? So you made it to day 52. Anybody else doing anything, any big, resolutions for the year? Normally I don't. So here's the other thing. I thought the gym was gonna be full of people, right? Everybody's first couple of weeks, everybody's gonna be, the gym's gonna be full. The thing I had in my mind, no, nobody was there. It was like, I talked to a guy that'd been there normally, and he said, there's like two more people here. And I was one of them. So, I mean, and then every day at the gym, I thought it would be full. It's not. I haven't seen any crowded gyms. Like, I don't know. So I had all these excuses and none of them were real. And so now I'm getting real about it. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'll keep you updated. Oh, you forgot to take a photo of yourself. The program exposed a lot about myself. That's interesting. Who am I talking to here? I can't see. It says Facebook user. When you say it exposed a lot about yourself, for me, it's exposing this little thing I have in my brain to not do something, like not do something painful. Like I love running business, like that's easy. I love reading, it's super easy for me. But it seems like, and maybe you're going to say the same, it exposes whatever you don't want to do. Like it exposes the inner brain, the inner voice that tells you not to do something or you don't need to, or it gives you a free pass to not do something. I can tell you, 6 days in, I hear that voice telling me, and then I have to have the bigger voice come in and go, "No, we're doing it." And so, hey, Jeff Harper, hey, Jeff. I wonder if you found the same thing with the little voice. To me, is what it exposes, the little voice in there about not doing something. So, anyway, one last thing. My daughter is in a boxing match coming up, and oh, here it is. Exposes lack of discipline. Yeah, I can exactly see that. That's exactly what it did to me. Like my lack, I feel like I'm pretty disciplined. I feel like I get a lot done every day. But then when I've got to be disciplined about this because it's black and white. It's so simple, this workout, that, and you can, if you don't know about it, you can pick your own workout, you can pick your own diet. You just got to stick with it. And that's what he's saying. Discipline of whatever you decided, you have to stick with it. Except the 2 days, that's not a negotiable. The gallon of water, the photo, the 10 minutes of reading, not negotiable, but you can kind of pick your own thing as long as it's healthy. And it's really a discipline thing in your brain. So I agree, Jeff, that I feel the same kind of pull. So we'll see. Day 52, man. Congratulations. That's tough. What made you not start it again? Like what made you not pick back up in day one? Was it just the feel of failure? Like, oh my gosh. So anyway, that's what I probably would think it would be, but no matter what, you get a lot out of it. I was talking about my daughter doing a boxing match, and she is, she's not physically, like, she's not literally a fighter. She never played sports. She knows, I'll say this right to her face, but everything she starts, she's terrible at. She's absolutely terrible at everything. She is not a natural at anything. But the thing that's amazing about her is she fails forward. She absolutely gets up and keeps going. She cries, she gets up, she stands back up and gets back into it. When she did cheerleading, she's not good. She's not a good dancer. She tried, all these things, never good, but she gets good at it no matter what it is. And it's neat to see her get good at business, get good at negotiation and that kind of thing. So I love that. So she's in boxing. Well, she's never had great hand-eye movement. Hold on, I'm going to mute the. So she's never had great hand-eye coordination, and now she's boxing. So I'm watching her, and she hits pretty hard, really, but her head is totally, like, you could easily hit her. So she's sparring every day. I couldn't be more proud of her. She's got a fight on March 3rd. And I'll let you know how it goes. She's raising money for charity. This charity actually gives to other charities. And so I couldn't be more proud of her. All right, let's talk about business. Let's talk about the stages of business. And I was watching, I think it was something on YouTube, or I can't remember where it was. The guy talked about the I, we, they stages of business. And the way he explained it made a lot of sense to me. And it was a pretty succinct way to think about the stages that you go through and even the stages that you get stuck at. So if you guys are listening, you want to comment, tell me, just say your name and tell me what stage you're in once I explain what they're in. So the I stage, pretty much how you start every business. You got to do it all. You do all the work, you do all the marketing, you pay the bills, you pretty much do you, maybe one other person, you and your wife. It's the I stage of business. In my world, I was there for 17 years. I didn't really realize there could be something in the chimney world that was other than the I stage. And I played music, so it was kind of always on the side with, with chimneys. And I was going to be, playing music. That's why I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, chimneys kept working and music didn't. So then I learned, to move to the we stage. I had to move to the we stage where you have you and a team, small group of team. And that's where we stayed for about 5-6 years. I was still in a truck. I was still selling, still out on job sites, still making that happen. Still, I was called in. And then over the years, less and less. And then you move into and that's probably like 1 million to at the most 10 million. But I probably moved into the they stage more around the 5 million. I'm still on truck every once in a while, but rarely. And then we started moving into the they stage. And if any of you guys saw the episode I was on CNBC of the Blue Collar Millionaire show, that's what they highlighted me right at when I was switching into the they stage. And it talked about when I realized what it was going to take to run crews and people instead of me doing all the work. And that was, they saw me at 5 million. And I told them what the goal was and everything, and it's been an interesting ride since then. But that was the we stage. And then the they stage is where you really, you're not in charge of customer acquisition, you're not in charge of customer, anything really to do with the customers overall. It's handled by teams of people that handle the whole thing, the orders, the receiving, the shipping, the customer acquisition, customer problems, all that stuff is handled by others, and you just kind of direct the thing. And there's good and bad about every stage. So if anybody's out there and want to tell me what stage you're in and why you think that, I'd love to see it. But let's just talk about what that is. And in the I stage, in some ways, it's the easiest. Kathleen, she's at the we stage like that. I'll tell you. So at the I stage, at the we stage, to me, it was one of my favorite stages, honestly, because it was. I say this a lot. We're like a group of Navy SEALs. Like at the we stage, it was me and a handful of guys, 10, 15 guys, and we did everything. Like there was no specialists. Everybody kind of maybe was a little bit better at one thing or another. We all did all the work. And we all fixed all the work, and we all could do it all. And we leaned on each other, and that's fun, man. I see a lot of guys on Facebook that are on the we stage, and to me, that's like to me, it's like the best company culture. Like it's, but you could lose a couple guys or have guys go south on you, and all of a sudden your company is completely wrecked. The I stage is the easiest in some ways. I say this is the stage where you've chosen backaches over headaches. And so you've got backaches, your body starts to break down, but the money's the cleanest, the process is the cleanest. You probably have a great product. If I were a homeowner, I'd want the guy that's, as long as he can get to me. Sometimes they're too booked up, but they are craftsmen, they're artisan. They are very, very good and really good operators. Typically, there's very rarely a small guy that's absolutely terrible. I mean, they can be, but in general, they're probably pretty good. Where people start to lose quality and things like that is when they cross into the we stage, and especially the they stage. You can really lose who you are, what you do, how you do it. And it's the different stages. So let me just look here. I got Kathleen. She says we're at the we stage. And then another one, I'm working on they. So he's in we, working on they. Jay Walker says he's we and they, right? Jay's been at it a long time. And then they still deal with the rough, tough customer stuff. Yeah, I do too. Like I talked about today, I probably see 3 customers a year, but I'll tell you what, in the I stage, I was there for 17 years. I love that stage because I love my customers. I liked meeting the people. I like doing the work. I liked being the expert. I like being the superhero. I liked like being the guy they called, Mark, come help me. I'm out there to help you. I love to help you. I love working 7 days a week, and so I really liked that stage for a long time because I liked people and I liked helping them. And I still know many of them, and people call in and I still remember them from the stage, and they all remember me. Like, I remember when he had the mullet and came out in his car and fixed my chimney, and all that was true early on. I remember driving around in a freaking 1984 Celica and had a extendable ladder in the back and threw my vacuums in there. And when a truck broke down, I had to jump in my car and go fix stuff. And I didn't hate that stage. I didn't know there could be more than that. On the we stage was where we probably started getting the most momentum, but I started to realize how important training was. The stuff I started taking for granted was, of course, you know how to do that. My motto was, here's the tools, go do it, go figure it out. Like I did, right? I figured it out. I'm sure you can figure it out. Wrong. They can't. They don't have even the background of years of by yourself like you did. When you were making mistakes and nobody was around, very few people would call you on it. When you're with a team, they can all go, why would you do that? So, but that's the first time we crossed 2 million. We took people on cool vacations. We went to all inclusives. We were tight. And a lot of those guys, several of those guys are still with me. That size, I got a bunch of guys who've been with me over 10 years. Recently, I've started to lose a few of them. But I've got, that was the group of guys that they're the ones that are fast to say, man, when we were doing it, we had to walk both ways to school, uphill in the snow, barefooted. And there's a lot of truth in that because we did have to do all the work. We had to get the job done. We had to work all hours, 7 days a week, and everybody had to chip in and help each other. And there's a lot of truth in that. They tend to, but then you move into they, and they is to me, it's probably the best place as a business owner. You truly become a business owner and you start to really, to me, enjoy it a lot. I have a lot more free time. I get to do some things. I get to do stuff like this and do consulting and travel quite a bit. And it's the maturing of the business that makes it makes it enjoyable. And then now when I start a new business, I almost move from I immediately go they. I don't care how big or small it is because I don't have time to get in and become a true expert at everything. Like we do HVAC. I got an HVAC company, very small. It's always been a they thing. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to know anything about it. And they're a great little team. We're working on growing them a lot this year. Powder coating, same thing. I have never picked up a powder coating gun, but we are now one of the biggest powder coaters in the Nashville area for sure, in Middle Tennessee. We signed some pretty good deals this recently, and it's very, very exciting. But I'm not going to be a powder coater. I own a powder coating company. And I remember years ago, I read an article about the guy said, well, he's talking about plumbing. He said, well, what do you want? Do you want to be the best plumber or own the best plumbing company? And that made a lot of sense to me. For a long time, I wanted to be the best chimney guy. Now I want to own the best chimney company. And so that was a decision, and just very quickly, very easy. Do you want to be the best plumber or the best owner of a company that does plumbing? So that's where I am. That's where I am on powder coating. I want to have the best company that powder coats. I don't need to know the most about it. I don't need them. There's guys out there that know so much. A bunch of old gray beards, man, they know everything about powder coating. And you know what I do with those guys? Call them, have them fix my problems and move to the next problem. So I like the they process. Can I move back to I? Absolutely can. When I had to start my company over in 2008, and I had to fire everybody because we were basically broke, I moved right back into I. And I know a few other guys that have moved back into I after they were a we or even a they. They're like, you know what? I built this wrong. I'm going to go back to I, because you can always do it. So that's why I think you shouldn't be afraid to move to the next level, because you can always come back to the level you're at. And that's not failure. That's just real. You can move back. You can go up. You can try it out. You can say, you know what, I like the view up here, or man, I do not like the view up here. I'm getting too many arrows to the head. I'm coming back to the level I'm at. And there's nothing wrong with that. I got a note. Mark, is there steps to that? You have been the best. You have to be the best chimney guy first. Or does scaling and become the best chimney company be completed with systems? Oh, so yeah. So I'll have to say this. I don't think you have to be the best technician to have the best chimney company, but it helps because you develop teams around you who know what they're doing faster. Now you could hire, consultants, you can do a lot of training and build training. So you don't have to be I think especially today with all the tools that we have and all the training and education. And I'll just tell you, I've done both. I'm super attached to chimneys. I love powder coating. No one will ever know me as the best powder coater and how amazing I am at running the gun. And I've got all the right settings and I know how all the powder flows. No, but I will be known as a business owner in the powder coating world. And we're already becoming that. They're like, because I spoke on a powder coating podcast recently about some of the stuff I talk to you guys about every week. And they're like, wow, we need that in the powder coat business. Cause they're like the chimney business 10 years ago. They're all small operators. They're all figuring out powder coating is becoming more and more popular because it's better for the environment. Almost all paint shops are switching to powder. Like it's a thing that it's kind of on the front edge, kind of like chimney was, in my opinion, about 10 years ago, how it's coming on. We're behind HVAC and chimneys, but we're in front of powder coating, in my opinion. Now, that being said, there's some very complex powder coating lines, automation, robots. That's different, but running the business is it's at least not to the level of chimneys in some ways, but I think you can do what you want. I'm not sure who asked that question, but I think it's a decision you make and what I tell a lot of business guys that are wanting to grow a business, I say, stop going to technical education, stop going to those technical classes on how to do the thing and go to the business classes. Get around business leaders, get around business coaches, get around people who run business. And that, again, that's my opinion. That's how I think about it. You may think about it totally different. And, but I don't, I don't have as much time, right? I'm 55 and I'm in a hurry. I've been in a hurry for the last 10 years, but even more in a hurry. I know what I need to stay in my lane. My lane gets more and more narrow. And I can run faster and faster because I won't touch certain things anymore. There's no way I've got an HVAC company. Not one person called from Mark Stoner and said, can you come look at my house? Not one. Nobody knows me in the powder coat business. Nobody barely knows me in the chocolate business. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's how I'm doing it. And if you find value in that, if you want to run multiple things, I think you go deep at first, you get to know, and then you come right back out of it and you hand all the jobs off as fast as you can. But that being said, you're not going to make the money the fastest. It's going to take a while to build. Almost everybody in your company is going to make money before you do if you do it that way. Now, if you go deep and you're the expert and you make all the money, right? You make all the money. Then you're making okay money, but sometimes other guys make as much. And then if you start a business you may not take money from the business for a couple of years. So again, it's kind of a mentality that you take for it. Most of my businesses that I'm in for the long run. I'm not trying to pump them, dump them, or build them up and sell them. I'm in for a long time. So I'm okay with waiting on a paycheck till everything else gets in place. And then, I better get paid. Let's see. Then there's another question here. Nice comments. Thank you guys so much. This makes things so easy when you talk to me through this. Or the best of any trade, just be the best you can be, a good owner or mentor. So I think that's part of the other question. I think my thought on that is make sure you have the best product, whatever that takes. For me in chocolate, I was okay, right? But I didn't go to culinary school. I hired some amazing chefs that went to French culinary school. That's what their life passion was. They did my business as a hobby on the side in their kitchen. And like, oh yeah, of course we can do that. Easy. And their hand-eye coordination, their thought process on how everything works. And I have a better product. I have a better chocolate company because I'm not doing it. HVAC, powder coating, like we are better. I'm better. All my companies are better when I'm not doing the work. Can I do it? Of course I can do it. But that's not the best place for me. And so I want to have the best business. Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm in, I'm fully in. I'm into these businesses. But what does in mean to you? Does in mean you've got to know every detail of everything about how to do the technical work? Or should you be really, really good at making sure the finished product is got your name on it and you're proud of your finished product? And that's kind of where I am. I'm make sure I'm really proud of our finished product. If I got a product that got my name on it and it's crap, I've got a serious problem. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. I overall have good products and good systems, and I have to make sure that, that continues. So, had another one. I'm with you, Mark. Cool. Okay. The other US stage, it's a frightening and disconcerting stage no one talks about. Oh, the us stage. I'm sorry, I misread that. The us stage. Okay. It's a frightening and disconcerting stage no one talks about. Every day is Saturday. It's time to learn to do only one thing a day. The business is now one that carries on with the new owner, learning from us what we wish we had known back in the beginning, right? I feel he's lucky to be in this industry at this time. That's interesting. Yeah, the us stage. I guess it's kind of like we, but what you're saying, I think, is that you're doing more of the training and that you're handing it off to someone so that you're out, I think is what's being said here. I'm passionate about becoming a great leader. A couple of my guys are passionate about chimneys and becoming the best chimney guy. So it works for us, Kathleen. I love that. And that's what it should be, right? You're the one that has to be the best business owner. If you're not the best business owner, the business can only grow to the level that you're at as the owner. So if you're also in the field with them, the business, now you do teach them well, but the business suffers a little bit when the owner's in the field. And sometimes you got to do it. I'm not saying that, but if you're always working your tail off, if you're always working Saturdays, you're always working Sundays, working at night, and you don't see an end to that, you will keep running that. They call it the ox in the ditch parable from the Bible. Like the ox, you're not supposed to work on Sunday, but if the ox is in the ditch, you got to work, because you got to work and get the ox out of the ditch. But if the ox is always in the ditch and you're always working your tail off, and everybody is, then you're driving it in the ditch. You don't have a better path for it. And don't have good leadership or necessarily good direction and strategy for the ox or for the business. Any advice on transitioning from we to they? Yes, that's my next point. I'm thinking I need more managers. Okay. That's exactly the right question for where I'm going. I'm going to answer a few more of these. I'm going to come back to this. Mark asked me once why I was learning gas. Oh, Mark asked me once why I was learning gas, and I didn't have a good answer. This is Jeremy. This is one of my favorite conversations, Jeremy, that you and I had, and that I remember it too, because this was when Jeremy, in his mind, he's an we. He's in that stage, and he's used to I, and he's moving to we. But in his mind, he's like, I want to start a gas division. I'm like, great, do it. He's like, so I'm going to go to, CSI and go to the gas school. I'm going to go to NFI. And I'm like, why would you do that? He's like, why wouldn't I do that? I'm like, well, you don't have to do that. And that's also the slowest way to start a gas division. I mean, yes, you can do it. You can get out there, get to be an expert, take you a couple of years. Now you're a couple of years behind. Now you got to train new guys. You know it. Nobody else will. I'm like, don't do that. Don't you send guys to training, you develop systems from the training, and then you have a system that you run a gas division. You're not a gas technician. And that was, to me, I think he and I kind of hit it off at that point. And I think it turned on a light bulb for him, like it did for me. Do I want to be the best plumber or run the best plumbing company? So I know this doesn't speak to everybody. I know this isn't for everybody. Like, I love being a great technician too. I did. But there was a time that I had to put that down. One of it is when I got hurt, but two, sickness comes, people get hurt, life changes. You better have a backup plan. And for me, I mean, so that was my vulnerability, that I had to change things. I learned that I need to be in the right seat first. So, so that, I guess that could be in a couple things. Right seat means understanding and learning the seat, or the right seat in management. The right seat for me is my main job in as a leader. When I watch somebody work for me, I have to decide if they're in the right seat or not. And if they do have a seat in my company, I just need to move them. And to me, that's my number one skill now. I watch people and realize if they're in the right seat or not, and do I need to move them somewhere else, or even move them out. Out is normally my last resort. But as a leader, my number one thing is to watch people. And if they're struggling, either get them trained up, trained out, move seats, create a seat. Like, that's, I do not let people suffer and struggle in roles. We still owns the company. Us no longer owns it, but mentors. Got it. Yeah. So I've never been through that. So I don't know that I can speak intelligently on what that looks like. I've bought businesses from people, and I can tell you this: if it's their baby, they do not like me taking over their business. They hate it. In fact, this powder coat business I bought, he didn't like me as an owner because it's his baby. And I immediately came in and started changing everything. Well, when it's your baby, you're like, I don't like that. And so that was hard for him. He's finally gotten over it, but it took a little bit, and it was kind of ugly when it happened. So when you said we still owns the company, us no longer owns it, but still mentors, I'm thinking that, you're handing that off, and your mentors, and sometimes it's tough to mentor because sometimes they're right and you might have been wrong or missed it. And sometimes you're right. And like, see, I told you. So that, I don't know how that feels. Whatever happens with Ashbusters down the road, at some point, I'm going to have to step back, and I'm probably going to struggle, but I'm trying to do that now, where I hand off big parts of the decisions and then watch how it plays out. And sometimes it's tough. So I got a little bit of cough. All right. So that was from Katie Poole. So Katie, are you the one that is the we us part? I think it's what you're saying. Word House. To get step by step to the they, just like CPR to resuscitate, you must have ABCs: airway, breathing, circulation. Therefore, business systems, financial controls, marketing are the ABCs of your company. With these, you replicate and grow. Totally true, 100%. Because as you build systems in your business, it will naturally grow. So let's go back to the transitions. I think this was really good. And let me go back. Katie said, we moving to they need more managers was me. Gotcha. Okay. So back to Katie's question. How do you transition? Like, how do you can make the decision, but what does that look like? Does it look like more management? I'll tell you what it looks like to me. It looks like you need coaches, mentors, not managers at first. You need a strategy of what it looks like, where you're going, what you're going to do. And then you do planning. So strategy, I talked about this before, is the long range, what this looks like, where we're going, and then planning, which is more fun to do, but it's easier. You can control it all. Strategy, you can't totally control it. But where I've ever gotten to was through mentorship and leadership. I always have a mentor. I always have a leader that is working with me. And usually I'm paying them. And sometimes they're super expensive. Sometimes they're not too expensive. But most of the time, I always have some type of executive coach, business coach, leadership coach. Right now, we're working with a new executive leader who's led, $500 million companies. He's built $500 million companies. He's worked with gigantic companies, and he's taken us on as a client. Super excited about it. But at every level, I bought someone else's leadership and mentorship and knowledge. Sometimes I buy it for a little bit of time, and like, I got all I could get out and I need to move on. Sometimes I stay with them for a long time. Sometimes I've paid a lot of money for a short amount of time. When I worked with Larry Winget, he helped me write my book. He helped me go to be a professional speaker. Like he had a course in the class, very expensive, but man, changed my life. I could have never gotten around him if I hadn't paid the money. Like he's written all kinds of books. He's a 7-time New York Times bestseller. He's in the Hall of Fame for professional speaking. Like if you're going to get around a guy, that's the guy to get around. So I'm like, and I was a big fan of his books. And I saw him on the news. I saw him on everything. I'm like, oh, I can get around him for X amount of dollars. I'm going to spend it. So I spent a lot of money to get around people that changed my life tremendously. And he's still actually a personal friend of mine. We became friends. When I spoke with him the first time, it was really nerve-wracking because I had to give a 1 minute in front of like a hero of mine. And I just told him my story. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I like you. He goes, you're real. He's like, I want to work with you. And there was so many people. There was like 20 of us. And he just ripped them to shreds. And I got off with, he goes, yeah, I want to work with you. And everybody's like giving me crap. But I'm like, he said, you know why I like you? He goes, you've obviously lived it and done it. So I couldn't believe he said that. And from then on, he wrote the title of my book, Blue Collar Gold. That was his idea. And my thing with mentors is I buy their time and then I do what they say. Now, I always do what they say. I always try what they say all the way through. Now, I might have to tweak it, but I buy people's time and that helps me go faster. So, Katie, to your point, if you're at one of those transitions and you want to move, find somebody who's been there. Now, at some point, I think I might go into coaching. I don't have time to coach. I kind of do consulting. And that's what this is too. It's kind of like, hey, some consulting. But what you really need is somebody in your business to kind of beat you up, call your baby ugly, tell you what's wrong, tell you how you miss stuff. And you may have to go through a few of those to find somebody that really clicks with you, but that cares for you, really cares. Some guys are out there just trying to take your money. They don't really care. One time I was talking to a consultant in our industry, and my wife said, I don't like that person. I said, why? She goes, he's only concerned about talking to you. When he asks me how I'm doing and I start to talk, he never listens to what I say. All he's there is to try to talk to you. I'm like, oh my gosh. From that point on, I didn't deal with that guy anymore. I knew he really didn't care. He wanted something different than I did. So get with somebody who really cares about you, wants to see you win, but will tell you the hard thing, not braggadocious, but tell you the hard thing. So for me, at every step, and even though I'm in the they stage now, I hire expensive people to help me. And it's just part of my budget is I need help. I need somebody to come in, tear me apart. So next week, I've got a consultant coming in, works with us for a week. Bob Arbel, a lot of you guys know who he is. He's a lean Toyota manufacturing specialist. He's going to come in. He's going to flip us upside down. He's going to tear our warehouse to shreds and fix it. By the time he's gone, everything's fixed. He's amazing. And then we will, then he's going to in my powder coating line and my assembly lines, and we're going to go Toyota manufacturing. Toyota's, let's just say on a scale of 1 to 100 is 100. And when he comes in to see my place, it'll probably be an 11. That's what we were last time. And by the time he left, we were a 40. So on a scale, you always try to get better, but he makes you better faster. And he's an amazing person. And so he's going to work with us next week. And then after that, we start with executive coaching, working with all of our teams. I just have to have help. And these guys know so much more than I do. I don't have time to know it. So to that point, all professionals, all high-end athletes, all basketball, football, coaches, drivers, F1 drivers, everyone has coaches. So why don't you have a coach? Everyone that's the highest in the world of every single thing I don't care what it is. If you're boxing, if you're wrestling, if you're anything, they all have coaches. But for some reason, a lot of us as business people don't have coaches. We don't have people that are cheering us on and cutting us down and tearing us up. We need them. I'm not trying to pump up any certain coach. I'm just saying you need one that works for you, that holds you accountable, and most importantly, you do the work. Let's see, a couple more things. A good mentor doesn't really care if you don't like what he's saying. Always hold you accountable and let you know when you're failing successfully. Yeah, Total fact. They really don't care. They'll say the hard things. They will tell you the hard things. They'll tell you your baby's ugly. And man, it's rough to hear your baby's ugly. You're proud of your baby. They're like, well, this is a problem. And a lot of times the problem is you, the owner. You can't see it because nobody holds you accountable. You're the boss. You're telling everybody what to do. And the employees can't put back at you and point fingers at you because you're the boss. You write the checks. You'll never get a true accounting probably from most of your employees because they've got too much to risk if they care about their job. You do find out what they really think on the exit interview. They'll tell you the truth right then, but sometimes that's too late to do anything. You need somebody in there day to day, seeing how it is, or once a month, working with you. That's why mixed groups are good. When you visit other companies and they tear you apart and tell you what you're good and bad about, those are helpful. Those are ugly. They hurt. They're nerve-wracking. You're proud of it, and they tell you, wow, this sucks. But everybody has warts. Everybody has sucky things. You can come into my business. I remember one time we did a mixed meeting at my thing, and everybody knows me for unicorns and rainbows, and everything is great and perfect. But that doesn't mean my businesses are every day. It means that's my outlook on things, that I think things are going to be better and what is possible. Well, this lady came in and talked to all my employees, and we were doing the mixed meeting. We all were sitting around. She goes, and everybody was telling me what was wrong and some of the things. And this lady said, I'm kind of disappointed. I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, I said, why? She goes, well, I thought it was all going to be rainbows and unicorns. I started laughing. I said, well, this is business. I mean, every business has 10 problems. Every business, $1 billion business has 10 problems. And if I point you to my problems, or I say, go find problems, you'll find them. If I say, go find amazing stuff, you'll find that too. But I want you here for problems. I want you to tear me up. So I say, go find problems, then you'll find them. Well, she found problems, and she was surprised she could find problems. I'm like, I could go to every business in the world. I could go to GM, GE, Google, Facebook. I could find everybody that got 10 problems. So, of course, you're going to find them in my business. But my outlook on it is, okay, let me fix those problems if I can. Let me have new problems. And so that was interesting to have that. But my main point is, somebody else said this, and this is right. They say, do what they say, exclamation points. If they tell you to push a peanut across the floor with your nose, do it. If you're not that committed, don't pay the money. Man, whoever said that is dead on. Who said that? That is it. That's it. That is how you do it. And then if you decide, you know what, I'm not going to push the peanut across the floor after you've done it and realize what the lesson was for, that's your choice. I say this a lot, and I've said it for years. I used to do pro barbecue. I had a pro barbecue team. I was a pro barbecue judge. Went to Jack Daniels for pro barbecue school and judging. So Kathleen said it. Kathleen is right. Thank you, Kathleen. But so I would go to these pro schools to get better. So again, it's my modus operandus. I go to the schools. I hire people to help me at anything I'm getting into. I just came back from a powder coating facility school in Detroit. Went up there for a couple of days to learn. So I was at a barbecue school in Florida. These guys were the number one team in the country. They were the team of the year. They'd won all the grand championships, won Jack Daniels. They were like just amazing. So I couldn't wait to buy their course. Went down to Florida, and I'm sitting there, and there's a guy sitting, like we're both at a table. It's like one of 6-foot tables and 2 seats per table, classroom full. They built a classroom to teach people how to do barbecue. I'm in there, and the guy's telling us, and I'm just, like if you smoke chicken at say 350 degrees, they were saying smoke it at 375, like faster. And the internal temperatures of this or that. And this guy next to me was like, I don't do it that way. I do it this way. Okay. And then they went into brisket and how they do brisket and do this. Oh no, I don't do that. About the third or fourth time the guy said it, I turned to him, and it became ugly at that point. I said, why are you here? I said, how many team of the years have you won? Oh, 0. Right. Oh, okay. How many grand champions have you won the Jack? Have you won? Like, what have you won? Oh, nothing, just locals. Oh, well, how about if you shut the hell up and do what they say? I don't care how good your stuff is. You don't have their results. So let's do what they say first and see what the results were. So for me, I'd been cooking for a couple years. I came back, told the team, we scrapped all of our ways. I said, here's the way we do everything. And immediately we were like on a team, like a competition of like 100, 120 teams, we'd get like 60th. Sometimes we get 80th. We'd win amateurs, but we wouldn't win the pros. We middle to middle bottom. Never got last. Well, once Sam's Club Invitational, 29 teams, we got 29th. But went to the schools, got 10th, 7th, 8th, first in a couple categories. We won a couple things. We were at a thing where we did 180 teams. We won first place ribs, first place appetizer. We didn't do good on chicken, and it kind of knocked us out of the top 3. But anyway, my point is, and Kathleen said it, hire them and do it. I talk to a lot of coaches and people that say, they work with people, but a lot of times the people are too frustrating to keep working with because they won't do the work. They come in, they tell you all the things to do. They say, yeah, we'll do that. That's a great idea, coach. Yeah, that's a great idea. They come back the next month, nothing's changed, nothing was done. And that's frustrating for a coach. It's frustrating on everybody's side. So you got to do the work, man. If you want to go to these levels, different levels, it's a lot of work. I'm not here to tell you anything is easy. Anything is, given. I'm not going to give you the magic answer. You're not going to listen to Mark Stoner. He's going to say the thing and all of a sudden everything clicks. It's a series of a lot of work and a mentality behind the work that will change the result. And for me, I just always do what my mentors say. You guys know one of my mentors, John Meredith. John Meredith tells me to do something. It's done. He says, Mark, you need to hire this guy. You need to do that. You need to invest in that. You need to look at that. Done. I mean, why not? Why would you question it? And if I came to work for you or with you and I say, you need to do this, you should do it. I mean, probably pretty good chance it's the right thing. Jeremy was saying when I asked him that, it changed his life immediately. And people had that impact on me. They say certain things and immediately you change. So why not get into the mode of change, faster change? If you can get in the mode of faster change, you can move through the I, we, they steps faster if you want. Again, I love being a we. I love being an I. I love being a they the most. And my companies like me being a they the most of the time. Sometimes they wish I would just get back in there in a truck and be one of them with them because they liked it because we'd run together and talk and joke. And it's a little different now, but they understand why it has to be that way. And for me, I have a lot more longevity if I can move to that state. Like I can stay in the game longer. If I don't, I could get hurt, things could happen, and everything could come crashing down. So it's more of a longevity game for me. You know my story, a lot of you do, but I come from a long line of family businesses that were one-person operations. Mother was an accountant. She got sick, got cancer, heart issues, out of business. Sister, business carpenter. Her husband hurt his hand, basically out of business. Dad, he was, long story, he was in insurance, couldn't kind of scale it, went into construction, no business left. So I come from a long line of that. So I know what that looks like. I know what it feels like on the family. I know what happens when you think you're going to make it to a certain age and then quit. And most of the guys don't make it. Something happens. You just don't make it. So why not plan now? Why not decide where you're going? And if you have, great. And if it's wherever you are, fantastic. But if you want something different, get a coach, pick a direction, pay the money, raise your prices, and then do the work. And you'll have a different life, I promise. Is it going to be easy? Hell no. Is it going to be some of the worst things ever? And will it have been easier if you stayed where you were many times? For sure at the beginning. But once you cross a certain threshold, a certain tipping point, you won't go back. Jay Walker, if he's still on here, I would almost guarantee Jay Walker is not in a truck. He's moved past. Jay's never going to be in a truck. He may go visit a customer. But since I've known Jay, he was a we. Once you move to certain points, you're not going back. I will not be back in a truck unless all else fails. Like that. And even as soon as that happens, I would move into sales first and then have guys do the work. I'm just more useful somewhere else. Chuck says, so Katie says, that's what I'm trying to do. Move to they ASAP. Totally to me, if that's what you want, move fast. What's better? Do it now or do it later? Let's do it now. Let's do it now. Is what you have to delay is your gratification financially. Okay. Don't think that because you decide you make more money. You don't. Every single one of these steps, you almost go backwards when you make the transition to the next step, right? When you were by yourself making all the money, yeah, you're making all the money. You had very few expenses. You're making all the money. You moved to we, and all of a sudden you had payroll, you had overhead, you had vehicles breaking down, you had stuff. All of a sudden you might not have made money at first. You had to make adjustments. You had to fix it. And all of a sudden it started working again. Probably after, a few trucks. Now, Chuck had very efficient trucks very early. I couldn't make the money Chuck made he only had 2-3 trucks, and he was very efficient. He's got great courses on that. I couldn't get there. I had to get to 5 trucks before I made okay money for myself. I had no problem paying other people to do the work because I knew long run, that's what I wanted. Same with other stuff, but they is the same way. All of a sudden you hand off and you got to have high level people doing stuff. Sometimes they make good money and they're not pulling their weight, or the train isn't long enough to start flinging off money for you. But then after a while, if you're running it right, it becomes lucrative for everyone. Everyone makes more money. It's not just you. And if you do it right, to me, when we grew the business a lot through those stages, everybody came with me. Everybody's life got better. Everybody's benefits got better. Jobs got less demanding. Money got better. Benefits got better. Vacation got better. Organization got better. Chaos went down. Like all those things got better as we grew and got better. And as I got better as a leader, when I understood my role, everything got better as the leader gets better. That's a Craig Groeschel leadership podcast saying. Chuck, do these things. The goal is to get to 4th stage, enjoy the fruit of your labors, and the adios stage. I think Chuck just went through the adios stage. I think Jim Brewer's at the adios stage. Several guys at the adios stage. Larry Winget, my mentor, love Larry. He won't take any calls anymore. He won't book any. He hung up his hat. In fact, I think that's what Chuck is referencing on his Facebook page. He had a picture in front of the adios sign, like a ranch said adios, and he pointed to that, and that meant he was done. He planted the flag in the battlefield and said, this is where I have made it to, and I'm staking my claim. This is what I did in this life. Pretty cool stage. Idea is to stake that claim and still have plenty of health and money to go enjoy the fruits of your labor. Good stuff, guys. Thank you so much for this conversation. I remember years ago when someone said something that mattered, you would make a note on your iPad. I always wondered what you did with that info. Oh my gosh, that's so funny you say that. You wouldn't believe how many notes I have, and I'm going to show you. So I'll go to notes. So if you look at my notes, these are all kinds of notes of what things of people said. These are all my meeting notes, new building ideas. Whenever anybody says anything, it was a speech I was at, Beyond Happiness with Jen Lim. These are, so I've got them from years. And what do I do with them? I go back and read them, and then I put them in a podcast, or I put them in a talk, or I compile them. And actually what I'm doing is compiling all this stuff for another book. And so I do it to remember it. And 2, I do it for future me, for future content, for future wisdom. Because there's no way I can remember it all. I can't believe people listen to people talk and don't take notes. I'm always taking notes. I take notes. I took notes today when people talk. Like I don't know how you don't take notes when people talk. I can't remember it all, but I do want to remember it. I want to reference it. So I've got stuff from yesterday. In one of my main ones is podcast episodes. So when I'm creating podcasts, these are notes of things I ran into every day. These are things I clipped. These are things that I think are interesting. And these are how I make my podcast. These are how I come up with topics for today. Like these are me going through life, taking down notes. As a vampire. That was if you're the problem. Some of you know that. And so this is how I function on a daily basis, like memes and things that matter to me. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, I do this every day. This is me every day. There's some Larry Winget. What did Larry Winget say? I'm just going to read you a Larry Winget quote while we're on. I've discovered there are only a handful of good ideas in the whole world. You already know them. You have heard them your entire life. Here are some of the main keys to being more successful. Take personal responsibility. Things change, so be flexible. Work smart and work hard. Serve others well. Be nice to others. Be optimistic. Have goals. Want something big for yourself. Stay focused. Keep learning. Become excellent at what you do. Trust your gut. When in doubt, take action. Earn all you can. Save all you can. Give all you can. Enjoy all you've got. Above all, keep it simple. Larry Winget. Got a little. Love it, right? That's good stuff, right? That's what somebody said I downsized from the iPad. But yeah, I do take the iPad around still a lot, but this is pretty much my daily. And this is me going through this life and making notes about this life, So that's what happens to those notes. I try to do something with them. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up. We're about at time. I guess the hardest part to me is how do you get past the fear of transition, especially if you're on the cusp, et cetera. Yeah, super scary. Being very profitable to potentially not being. How much does financial stability impact when you move forward aggressively? Jason, I think it's Jason Fox. So that's so good. It's always scary. Here's how I think about it. I think I'm here to do great things. I think I'm here to figure out how far I can go. And I don't want to have regrets when I'm done and go, you know what, man, I should have gone for it. Should have tried it. Every time I've gone for it, I've gotten hit with something I didn't see in a bad way. But I recovered from the bad thing. And man, we took off and we were like, wow, thank God we did that. Moving into a new, bigger building. Had a drought, had no business, spent all my money getting into it. This was in 2012. 2008, I had just moved into a 5,000 square foot facility in 2007. 2008, housing crashed, had to let everybody go. Started the chocolate shop. Guess when I started? February 2020. COVID hit March 2020. I'd worked on it for 3 years. Opened the doors, grand opening, grand closing. Every time something crazy happens, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means that you should do it. It means that, of course, there's going to be a barrier there. If there wasn't, everybody would already be there. Of course, there's a hidden barrier. Of course. Will you have to back up? Will you have to go, oh, I'm going to have to wait. I didn't see that. Of course, you can't see it. There's no way to see it. You don't have the vision to see it. Nobody can see it. If they could see it, they'd already be doing it and you wouldn't have the opportunity. So do it. My best advice is go for it. Always. If there's a question of go for it or not, go for it. Don't try to time it. Don't always try to wait for a better time. You don't know if you're living in the best time right now you'll ever live in. You don't know. So how can you think you can know the future? You can't. So you have your health, you have your ability, you have the opportunity in front of you. Make it happen. Figure out how to make it happen and do it. That's my best advice. You will run into problems and you'll like Steve Harvey says, you're going to make the jump and you're going to skin your knees. You're going to tear your clothes off. Your parachute won't open the way you think it's going to open, but it will open. If you stay on it and you stay focused and you're like, this parachute is going to open, it'll open. It will. You're meant for greatness. You're meant to do great things and have more. Why not you, right? Sometimes people have a thing about why, I don't deserve it or I shouldn't do it. Well, if somebody else can do it, why can't you do it? What one man can do, another man can do. Or we can say the same with women. What one woman can do, another woman can do. Katie Poole's a business owner. Man, super happy for her. She's speaking at events. She's doing stuff. But is it easy for Katie? I know it's not easy for Katie. She wants to move to the next step. Does Katie know there's going to be problems? Of course. That's what business is. It's solving problems. You get problems to solve, you solve them, you get another set of problems. But at each step of problem solving, you get ideally more money or more freedom or both. Um, Couple more. That's a problem for some. If you review your notes and see the same thing multiple times, you don't do anything with them, you're wasting your time and money. I see people do it all the time. You say you're working on it because you're going to training, etc., but not using it. Well, I've said this for years, and that's a great point because when I wrote my book back in 2016, some people were like, "Man, why would you write the book and tell everybody how to do it?" I said, "Because they won't do it." I said, I can tell you exactly how to do everything, and 99% of the people won't do a thing with it. And the 1% who do, I'm going to cheer you on, and I am going to help you as much as I can. And a lot of people are like, well, you shouldn't tell people everything. I'm like, why do you do your podcast for free and all that? Like, it's a calling for me. I think I'm here to do that. But two, it helps me just get my information out there. I read all this stuff. I take all these notes. Why not put it back out in the world with my twist on it if it helps somebody? Again, I got such a cool thing. My podcast's been listened to 61,000 times since I started. It's shared. It's been heard in 24 countries. It's in the top 15% of all podcasts in the podcast world. It's shared in the top 20% of all shared podcasts. Like, it's just me, super simple. I'm sitting here in my office. I got a microphone, computer, and I just riff on whatever happens to me that day or that I've read about. I almost do a book report for the industry on things. So that's what I do with it, Kathleen. But two, me saying it again puts it back in my head, makes me think of that. And pretty soon I feel, when I'm talking, what I've read comes back out in what I say. And all of a sudden you sound like you're super smart, but all I'm doing is repeating what I've heard. I really am not great at coming up with any new ideas or anything. This podcast actually, and this Facebook Live is somebody else's idea. Like Larry Winget said, you should do a podcast. And then so I started doing a podcast. And then we were doing a group thing. We thought it'd be more value. We have a value added service for SureFire. And like, why don't we just do a live thing? So I said, I'll do it. So however I can add value and share what I know that's just what I do with it. But I learn from it too. You guys talking to me helps me understand if I'm hitting on something important or not. So I'm appreciative of you guys too. We'll wrap this up. We're hitting our hour. House, the ox is slow, but the earth is patient. Yeah. That's and I agree with that. All right. It's like trying to put lipstick on a pig. No matter how pretty you make it look, it's still a pig. That's like giving people tons and tons of training and knowledge, but if they won't use it, it's still the pig. It is, but you did your best. And that's all I can do. Like, I realize I'm not in motivation. I'm not about motivational speaking. I'm not trying to motivate you. I can't motivate you. You have to motivate you. Now, sometimes I might say something that motivates you, but that's not me. That's you taking what I said or taking what somebody else said and doing something with it. That's all I can do. And that's all I want to do. I don't try to motivate my employees to work for me. I don't try to motivate people to buy anything I've got. It doesn't matter to me. If it helps you, that's what matters to me. If you come back and say, man, that really helped me, I love that. If that's why anybody does anything. And for you, don't get training is, you can say something a million times and finally it hits. I can say the same thing. I find myself repeating each other, but it mattered to somebody this time, right? It says, because you are the farmer and all you do is prod the pig. All right, guys. So thank you for all of the comments tonight. I hope you have a great year. I hope this SureFire Live meant something to you, especially in your stages if you want to move to the next stage. And I'll just wrap it up. Everybody starts there, especially in service. It's actually the next step, and that's probably the most common step in this industry. There's a lot of weeds out there, and then very, very rare air in this business that there's many theys. But in my opinion, it's worth it. If you want that, there's a way to do it. Get help, get counseling, get coaches, get mentorship, have a mentor, hang around people doing it, hang around people, hang around the right people, hang around people that are cheering you on. Stay away from people that run you down unless they're a mentor and they're right and you need to be run down. All right, guys. Love you, Mark. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. It's a very valuable show. Very valuable. Thank you very much. You are an informer. Yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me. I you're right. That's what it is. And good night. Says see you in Connecticut. Love you, Mark. Yeah, I'll be in Connecticut. I get to do the closing keynote with John Meredith and Alan Rush. We're doing the closing keynote. I get to do the keynote at UBG, United Buyers Group. I'm the keynote speaker there and also keynote speaker at Heat Shield. So some nice opportunities have come in and I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good night. See you next week. Bye-bye.